Article I-59. Suspension of certain rights, resulting from Union membership 1. On the reasoned initiative of one-third of the member states, or the reasoned initiative of the European Parliament, or on a proposal from the Commission, the Council may adopt a European decision, determining that there is a clear risk of a serious breach by a member state of the values 44 Part I referred to in Article I-2. The Council shall act by a majority of 4/5 of its members after obtaining the consent of the European Parliament. Before making such a determination, the Council shall hear the member state in question, and, acting in accordance with the same procedure, may address recommendations to that state. The Council shall regularly verify that the grounds on which such a determination was made continue to apply. 2. The European Council, on the initiative of one-third of the member states, or on a proposal from the Commission, may adopt a European decision, determining the existence of a serious and persistent breach by a member state of the values mentioned in Article I-2, after inviting the member state in question to submit its observations. The European Council shall act unanimously after obtaining the consent of the European Parliament. 3. Where a determination under paragraph 2 has been made, the Council, acting by a qualified majority, may adopt a European decision, suspending certain of the rights deriving from the application of the Constitution to the member state in question, including the voting rights of the member of the Council, representing that state. The Council shall take into account the possible consequences of such a suspension for the rights and obligations of natural and legal persons. In any case, that state shall continue to be bound by its obligations under the Constitution. 4. The Council, acting by a qualified majority, may adopt a European decision, varying or revoking measures adopted under paragraph 3 in response to changes in the situation, which led to their being imposed. 5. For the purposes of this article, the member of the European Council, or of the Council, representing the member state in question, shall not take part in the vote, and the member state in question shall not be counted in the calculation of the one-third, or 4/5 of member states referred to in paragraphs 1 and 2. Abstentions by members present in person, or represented shall not prevent the adoption of European decisions referred to in paragraph 2. For the adoption of the European decisions referred to in paragraphs 3 and 4, a qualified majority shall be defined as at least 72% of the members of the Council, representing the participating member states, comprising at least 65% of the population of these states. Where, following a decision to suspend voting rights adopted pursuant to paragraph 3, the Council acts by a qualified majority on the basis of a provision of the Constitution, that qualified majority shall be defined as in the second subparagraph, or, where the Council acts on a proposal from the Commission, or from the Union Minister for Foreign Affairs, as at least 55% of the members of the Council, representing the participating member states, comprising at least 65% of the population of these states. In the latter case, a blocking minority must include at least a minimum number of Council members, representing more than 35% of the population of the participating member states, plus one member, failing which the qualified majority shall be deemed attained. 6. For the purposes of this article, the European Parliament shall act by a 2/3 majority of the votes cast, representing the majority of its component members. Treaty establishing a Constitution for Europe 45 Article I-60. Voluntary withdrawal from the Union 1. Any member state may decide to withdraw from the Union in accordance with its own constitutional requirements. 2. A member state, which decides to withdraw shall notify the European Council of its intention. In the light of the guidelines provided by the European Council, the Union shall negotiate and conclude an agreement with its state, setting out the arrangements for its withdrawal, taking account of the framework for its future relationship with the Union. That agreement shall be negotiated in accordance with Article 325(3). It shall be concluded by the Council, acting by a qualified majority, after obtaining the consent of the European Parliament. 3. The Constitution shall cease to apply to the state in question from the date of entry into force of the withdrawal agreement, or, failing that, 2 years after the notification referred to in paragraph 2, unless the European Council, in agreement with the member state concerned, unanimously decides to extend this period. 4. For the purposes of paragraphs 2 and 3, the member of the European Council, or of the Council, representing the withdrawing member state, shall not participate in the discussions of the European Council, or in European decisions concerning it. A qualified majority shall be defined as at least 72% of the members of the Council, representing the participating member states, comprising at least 65% of the population of these states. 5. If a state, which has withdrawn from the Union asks to rejoin, its request shall be subject to the procedure referred to in Article I-58. 46 Part I Part 2. The Charter of Fundamental Rights of the Union Preamble. The peoples of Europe, in creating an ever closer union among them, are resolved to share a peaceful future based on common values. Conscious of its spiritual and moral heritage, the Union is founded on the indivisible, universal values of human dignity, freedom, equality and solidarity. It is based on the principles of democracy and the rule of law. It places the individual at the heart of its activities by establishing the citizenship of the Union. and by creating an area of freedom, security and justice. The Union contributes to the preservation and to the development of these common values, while respecting the diversity of the cultures and traditions of the peoples of Europe, as well as the national identities of the member states, and the organization of their public authorities at national, regional and local levels. It seeks to promote balanced and sustainable development, and ensures free movement of persons, services, goods and capital, and the freedom of establishment. To this end, it is necessary to strengthen the protection of fundamental rights in the light of changes in society, social progress, and scientific and technological developments by making those rights more visible in a charter. This charter reaffirms, with due regard for the powers and tasks of the Union, and the principle of subsidiarity, the rights, as they result, in particular, from the constitutional traditions and international obligations common to the member states, the European Convention for the Protection of Human Rights and Fundamental Freedoms, the social charters adopted by the Union and by the Council of Europe, and the case law of the Court of Justice of the European Union, and of the European Court of Human Rights. In this context, the Charter will be interpreted by the courts of the Union and the member states, with due regard to the explanations prepared under the authority of the Presidium of the Convention, which drafted the Charter, and updated under the responsibility of the Presidium of the European Convention. Enjoyment of these rights entails responsibilities and duties with regard to other persons, to the human community, and to future generations. The Union therefore recognizes the rights, freedoms and principles set out hereafter. 48 Part 2. Title I. Dignity. Article II 61. Human dignity. Human dignity is inviolable. It must be respected and protected. Article II 62. Right to life. 1. Everyone has the right to life. 2. No one shall be condemned to the death penalty or executed. Article II 63. Right to the integrity of the person. 1. Everyone has the right to respect for his or her physical and mental integrity. 2. In the fields of medicine and biology, the following must be respected in particular: a. The free and informed consent of the person concerned, according to the procedures laid down by law; b. The prohibition of eugenic practices, in particular those aiming at the selection of persons; c. The prohibition on making the human body and its parts as such a source of financial gain; d. The prohibition of the reproductive cloning of human beings. Article II 64. Prohibition of torture, and inhuman, or degrading treatment, or punishment. No one shall be subjected to torture, or to inhuman, or degrading treatment, or punishment. Treaty establishing a Constitution for Europe 49. Article II 65. Prohibition of slavery, and forced labor. 1. No one shall be held in slavery, or servitude. 2. No one shall be required to perform forced, or compulsory labor. 3. Trafficking in human beings is prohibited. Title II. Freedoms. Article II 66. Right to liberty and security. Everyone has the right to liberty and security of person. Article II 67. Respect for private and family life. Everyone has the right to respect for his or her private and family life, home and communications. Article II 68. Protection of personal data. 1. Everyone has the right to the protection of personal data concerning him or her. 2. Such data must be processed fairly for specified purposes, and on the basis of the consent of the person concerned, or some other legitimate basis laid down by law. Everyone has the right of access to data, which has been collected concerning him or her, and the right to have it rectified. 3. Compliance with these rules shall be subject to control by an independent authority. Article II 69. Right to marry, and right to found a family. The right to marry, and the right to found a family, shall be guaranteed in accordance with the national laws governing the exercise of these rights. 50 Part 2. Article II 70. Freedom of thought, conscience and religion. 1. Everyone has the right to freedom of thought, conscience and religion. This right includes freedom to change religion or belief, and freedom, either alone or in community with others, and in public or in private, to manifest religion or belief in worship, teaching, practice and observance. 2. The right to conscientious objection is recognized in accordance with the national laws governing the exercise of this right. Article II 71. Freedom of expression and information. 1. Everyone has the right to freedom of expression. This right shall include freedom to hold opinions, and to receive and impart information and ideas without interference by public authority, and regardless of frontiers. 2. The freedom and pluralism of the media shall be respected. Article II 72. Freedom of assembly and of association. 1. Everyone has the right to freedom of peaceful assembly, and to freedom of association at all levels, in particular in political, trade union, and civic matters, which implies the right of everyone to form and to join trade unions for the protection of his or her interests. 2. Political parties at union level contribute to expressing the political will of the citizens of the union,